Hey guys, my name is Basumio, and today I'm going to be taking a look at the MP7 from Battlefield 4. This was introduced in the China Rising DLC, so if you are a premium member, you can have access to that right now. And it has quickly become one of my favorite engineer weapons in the game. Like, it is flat out amazing. It does have its drawbacks. There are some things that do hold it back, and I'll kind of talk about that. But if you're able to work around these drawbacks and these pitfalls, it's an amazing weapon. It's just so much fun to use, and as I said, it has quickly become one of my favorite personal defense weapons. And so to start things off, the MP7 is a close encounter weapon. You are going to want to play around and try to get up close and personal to your enemy, and the stats justify that completely. Like, if you try to make this work at a distance, you're gonna have a hard time. And so, first off, the weapon does have a reduced damage model. It's only going to do 20 damage per shot up close, and if you compare that to pretty much any weapon in the game, that is that's just not as high. Most weapons do around 25 damage per shot up close. And so while it is gonna take you one extra bullet, and it's also gonna make it much more challenging to take people out at a distance, what's nice about it is that it does have one of the highest rounds per minute out of any weapon in the game. Like, it's way above average. It has a RPM of 950, and so if you get up close and personal, while you do need to get an extra shot into your enemy, you have 950 RPM to back that up. And so while, let's say you go against someone who is using, let's say, like the SCAR or the AK-12, they only have like a 600 or 700 RPM, and while it does take one extra bullet, you just have so many bullets flying down range, you're going to take them out just as quickly. So don't think it's a drawback that you do have a reduced damage model, at least with up close and personal combat. Another nice attribute is that it has 41 or 40 rounds in a magazine, and so you have plenty of rounds to kind of spit down range and to kind of support that high rounds per minute. I really like the FAMAS in this game, but one of the drawbacks of it is that while it does a little bit more damage than the MP7, you go through your rounds so quickly that you're constantly reloading, and to try to go on multiple kill streaks or kill people back to back with one magazine is really challenging, and trying to manage that rounds per minute with only, I think, like 26 rounds in a mag can be pretty difficult. But with the MP7, you still have that insanely fast RPM, but you got 41 rounds to kind of back you up, and it makes it much easier to go, 2, 3, or even 4 kills with one magazine. It's flat out amazing. The drawback of it, though, is that it does not perform well at a distance, and probably the biggest contributing factor to this is its recoil numbers. I don't actually have the exact stats because it's not on simthic.com at the moment, but just playing around with it, it is clear that this has a lot of horizontal recoil. Like, if you pull down or hold down the trigger, your weapon is going to bounce all over the place. And so once again, trying to go for a target at a distance isn't really a viable option. And so while that may be a huge drawback to some, you can work around that. And you guys will see throughout today's video, one thing that I constantly do is that instead of trying to go for that sniper that's way out there, or go for the guy that's kind of in a building, I will switch on over to the SRA. I don't see enough people using this weapon. I think the SRA in the game right now is easily the best rocket. Like, I know some people prefer the RPG or the SMA because they do a little bit more damage, and you get behind a tank, you are going to absolutely destroy them. But the versatility of the SRA, at least for me, just makes it an easy pick. And one thing that I just love to do is that if I do see someone off in the distance, I'll just switch on over to the SRA and snipe them. Like, if you're able to line it up, and it does take some practice, like, this is a weapon that does require a little bit more skill, and it will kind of take some time to track the rocket as it flies through the air, but as long as they're not moving, essentially all you really have to do is aim at the target itself. Like, as long as they don't move, the SRA is wire guided, and so it basically will fly exactly where you're pointing, and so that stationary target becomes an easy kill. Where things get a little bit more challenging, though, is when the target is moving. It's not impossible to take them out, it just becomes much more difficult. It's going to take a little bit more practice, but for the most part, when I see a camping sniper, or really just anyone off in the distance, I would much rather prefer switching over to this rocket instead of trying to take, like, shots or throw rocks at my enemy with the MP7, kind of notifying them that I'm trying to take them out. They run behind cover. If they're using pretty much any assault rifle in the game, or really any long-range weapon, they're going to be able to turn around and just quickly take me out, simply because the MP7 just does not have a lot of long-range killing potential. So all of that being said, I would recommend playing on maps and game modes where you know there's going to be a lot of close encounter combat, or where you can kind of flank around your enemy, catch them by surprise, using the terrain to close the gap on them, and then getting the full use out of this weapon. I was playing a lot on Zavad, like that is kind of a medium-sized map where there is a lot of long-range engagements, but there's also a lot of objects that I can use to not only block line of sight, but close the gap on my enemy. So I thought Zavad was perfect. Domination is also a good selection, and you may be thinking to yourself, hey, wait a second, Domination is for infantry-based combat. I'm playing as the engineer, there isn't going to be any vehicles for me to take out. Why would I want to play as this class? And while I would agree to some extent, like the engineer usually isn't the best pick for domination because the maps are a lot smaller and the MP7 thrives in those situations, like you're still going to do well. And on top of that, a lot of these domination maps have a lot of destruction, and if you're able to take advantage of your RPG or your straw and open up new paths, all of a sudden you're catching the enemy way by surprise. They had no idea someone was going to flank them from that angle simply because you just opened up a brand new path by shooting an RPG through a wall. So I would say Domination is still a solid pick. As for Conquest, I would recommend Flood Zone. Haina Resort is a solid recommendation. Parasol Storm. Operation Locker is decent, but because there's so many long-range corridors, it can be a little bit more challenging to get up close and personal to your enemy. So you can give that a try. It is just a little bit more challenging. Once again, Zavad. But honestly, you can do well on any single map. You just need to play appropriately. Find the sections of the map where you're going to be able to take advantage of the MP7, and then just abuse it to hell. So now I kind of wanted to shift gears and take a look at some customization and trying to improve the MP7. There isn't a lot that you can do with this weapon, and you're not going to be able to tailor it or try to make it a long-range weapon. Like, that's just simply not going to happen. But there are some things that I would recommend. And so the optics, I'm not even really going to go into this. I use the red dot sight. If you want to use something else, it's really going to come down to personal preference. But just know that this is a close encounter weapon. You're not probably going to want to use, you know, like the ACOG scope. Like, it's just not a good selection here. The accessories, laser sight, perfect for this. You're not going to want to use really anything other than that. It's going to reduce your cone of fire when you're hip firing down, and because this is a hip firing machine, it just makes it that much easier to take out your enemy. As for the barrel attachments, I would say that this is a tie between the compensator and the suppressor, depending on the play style that you're kind of looking for. The compensator is going to reduce your horizontal recoil, making it a little bit easier for you to take out those targets at medium to long range. And then the suppressor, because you're going to want to use this up close, I find is a lot of fun. Like, you stay off the mini-map, you're not really having to deal with the reduced bullet velocity because it's not like you're having to like snipe someone from across the map. And so the suppressor, if you want to play that stealthy assassin role, is also perfect for the MP7. So if you can't tell, I am in love with the MP7. It does have its drawbacks, it does have its weaknesses, but if you kind of work around that, especially if you use the SRA to kind of compensate for your long-range killing potential, this is an amazing combination and just simply an amazing weapon. But yeah, guys, that is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think of this gun. Are you as excited as I was to learn that it was in the China Rising DLC? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Let me know down below in the comment section. But until tomorrow, have a good one and take it easy.